Hello. So these are some pictures of the stuff we did getting ready to put in the joist. We had to jackhammer out a bunch of the concrete so that the joists would go across and not hit on any of the concrete. So we cut grooves so that the joist would go through the concrete and bear on both walls on each side. That's just all the work we went through. Then we brought in some joists and laid them up. There they are. They're kind of heavy, 2x12s, and some of them water soaked. They were pretty heavy. So there is Lisa. It looks like she's polishing her joists. Anyway, these are the floor members, the joists, and that's us moving them to the back, cutting specials so we don't have to carry so much weight.
What is a 2x12? What does that mean?
2x12. 2x12 is kind of obvious. It's a 2-inch by 12-inch nominal. That's nominal wood member, which really is 1.5 inches by 11 1/4 inches. After they reshape it, they round it and make it smooth. Let's see. These were 16 feet long. The building's 15 feet long, so we saved a foot off of the end of each one, which was really more than a foot because of the rim joist. So we had enough off the ends of each joist to make blocks for the center of the diaphragm. You'll see this is shooting from down low. You'll see how nice it looks. There's the joist, and we'll come up to where I'm putting in the blocks soon. That looks like that's the blocks. We had to put the blocks exactly 8 feet from one side so that the floor sheeting the edge would bear right on the blocks, because we can't have any vacant areas, any unsupported areas for the floor sheeting. The engineer wanted us to either use tongue and groove, which we did not, or block under all of the edges. So that's 3 rows of blocks down the whole thing. This is still the first row, which is done with 2x12s on edge, just like the joist, which is like pressure blocking and which makes the floor very strong. We're still working on the concrete there. Then we get past that finally, and we'll see the block work that we had to do. The block work that is at every 4 feet. Oh, that's when we started tearing out the concrete, we found dry rot under the door of the back of the house. So what happened was they poured that concrete porch and they didn't seal it from the house. So when it rained, water would seep in between the concrete and the house, and it would soak the blocks and the studs, the bottom of the studs. You can see how rotted all that is. So we had to take all that out and replace it before we covered it up. So we did. That's the new joist in there that we scabbed in, because we didn't want the door to sag, or in between the joists, we didn't want it to sag. So we had to put in new joists. This is us checking out the last of the joists. We're just about ready to finish up the joists and the blocking.
Is that just going to happen again to the new stuff?
No, because that's not exposed anymore. That was before. It was the outside of the house and the porch, and the rain just poured in. This is now going to be covered, and there won't be anything happening under that area anymore. This is probably a conference on how we should go about lunch, maybe. I don't know. Doesn't look like anything that important. Anyway, so we get the joists in finally, and it's raining again, so we have to kind of put off what our next phase will be. Then we get a couple days of sun, and there's the blocks down the center, you can see. And That's the end, looking from the bottom of the hill back up to the house and the addition. And it looks like it's dark. I don't know what's going on there. It's just the sun is so low that no light gets through the joist at that angle. That's why it looks so dark under there. That's the proud contractor, the workman. So glad he's done with the concrete. This is our insulation, which we had delivered. So we're ready to do insulation next. This is a dreary day. That's all of our new bolts, foundation bolts. And here we are getting ready to put in our last row of blocks so we can put in the insulation. There we are, last rows of blocks. You can see the 2x4 blocks on the left and right of the center row of blocks, which is the pressure 2x12 blocks. The 2x4 blocks are on just flat on edge, and they're just to support the floor plywood. So you can put them on edge like that. And then when we put down the plywood, we can screw or nail in between the joists and make it a very solid floor. So this is the stuff that we finished today, Monday. And that's how it looks now. We will soon be putting in the rest of the insulation and the floor. And that's probably the next thing you'll see is the floor in place.
An informant dropped me a line and said that trying to put the joists where the concrete steps were was not their favorite part of the job.
Was not their favorite part of the job?
My informant, who wished to remain anonymous.
Okay. No, that kept holding us up. I mean, if we didn't have to deal with that porch, we probably would have finished this floor, joist and floor and everything in maybe 3 days. But, it's just part of construction. You always run into stuff. Like, as we're chipping out the porch, we find that there's dry run underneath the edge of the house. So we had to fix that. So there's just things that always come up. People always say, contractors always check the price up. And it's not that they're checking the price, it's just they run into problems that they couldn't see before they started. And that's what's happening with us. Not too bad, though. I mean, it just took us, another half day to get that done before we could finish. But we're done now. So everything's coming along. Okay, see you in a day or two. So the last time we spoke, I believe we didn't have any joists on. So if you come this way and look here, you'll see we have all the joists in and it's blocked and it's ready for the floor sheeting. We're actually going to put our insulation in before we put the plywood down. We have knocked out the concrete from the porch to get our joists in. So we got past all that, the inspection. We had our inspection and signed off this morning, so we're ready to fly. I don't know if you can see the weather. It is kind of cloudy and ugly today. Tomorrow's supposed to be nice, so we should get all the insulation in and the whole floor done, and we'll have pictures. So that's our insulation, some of it. It's R38. It will expand 12 inches and give R38 insulation value required for the permit. And we have some of it in. We're ready to finish up tomorrow.
You look very tall because your head's at the top of the door frame.
Yeah, the door frame is shorter than the standard door. And this is our crawl space, not our storage area, our crawl space. And yeah, pretty exciting.